Because of the tireless effort of the HLCs to build and maintain relationship with doctors, the arrangement has proved to be successful. Because of the hard work of HLCs around the world for many years, we now have upwards of over 100,000 doctors worldwide who are willing to treat Jehovah's Witnesses in respect to their stand on blood. And Jehovah blessed his obedience. Same is true today. Jehovah has blessed our obedience to abstain from blood. By means of the HLC arrangement, their effortless, tireless work has yielded good results.
Yep, no intro, no soft landing, no easing our way into it with a few jokes here and there. We're just getting right into it. We're jumping in the clown car because this guy blew in straight from Stupid Town. I was taking a shower, and normally I listen to music or something, but I thought, let me go on jw.org and see if there's any new videos or something. And I played this while I was washing my butt crack, and man, I just had to get out and talk about it immediately because this blew me away. So no, we're not doing any crazy intros or anything, so everyone can rest easy today. That feels good. There's going to be no subscribe or else curses or anything like that, but don't worry. The curses will come back in the next video. They're like a boomerang, or suppose a woman with a vituperative relationship with her father. It always comes back. But we got to talk about this guy speaking about the blood doctrine. Now, this is something I've said before in the past, but I think it's probably been a couple of years since I've made this point, and most of the people probably have never heard this before. So I just want to throw something out there before we get into like the whole meat and potatoes of it. Let's just think of a hypothetical little situation here. If you go to a doctor and they say, it's not looking good, pal. We got to get on this right now. But there is some good news. We have a tested, proven method that has very, very, very strong results to back it. Here's a mountain of data so you that know it's safe, and this is our best option that we have available to us. And you get that advice from a doctor, and then you come and see me. And Wally tells you, well, phooey with that guy. All you need to do is shove a couple cloves of garlic up your butt and drink some Windex. All right, and you do that, and it yields absolutely no results. Bupkis diddly squat. Now you go back to the doctor, and they're like, well, I told you we had this method. It was provable, but Wally told me not to. He said the garlic and Windex was going to work. Well, what do we do now? Well, he told me I can't listen to you. I can't do this treatment. What are we going to do? And that doctor goes and he hits the books. He goes and consults with other doctors, and they come up with a strategy to give you a different type of life-saving medical intervention, right? Would you then turn around to me and instead of thanking and shaking the doctor's hands, would you come to me and say, Wally, I really want to thank you so much for that advice that you gave me. You saved my life. You saved my life. Thank you so much for all of your help and efforts. Because now we just discovered a brand new technique that was never discovered before. And it's because of Wally. Wally basically discovered this. It is the craziest notion that wouldn't work, I don't know, in any other situation or circumstance. But somehow, some way, when it comes to the Jehovah's Witnesses talking about their ridiculous blood policy where they tell Jehovah's Witnesses, because the Bible says not to eat blood, you can't have a blood transfusion, and you also can't have any treatment that might involve the 4 major components of blood. Somehow, some way, they have this explanation. So anyway, and they want to thank themselves for it. So let's just look at this talk. We'll actually be listening to a fair bit of it, just so you have a little bit of a warning here. But I just want you to be able to see exactly what he's saying, because all of this comes under a shocking title, and that is obedience always leads to success. So let's see these spin doctors try and flip this on its head, and like that example that I gave, that game theory over there, where they are going to praise themselves for giving people bad advice and then calling it successful. And because it was successful, they should be more obedient in the future to further bad advice. It is a real head scratcher.
Obedience. So if Solomon was if Solomon was obedient, what would be the result? Notice the part of verse 3. David goes on to say, then the effect of obedience, you will succeed in everything you do and everywhere you turn. Powerful. So here's our key principle then. Obedience always leads to success. And that was true in the case of Solomon. As long as he was obedient, he was successful. But now let's apply this principle in the life of Daniel and to see how it proved to be also successful, like the principle applied in his life. So let's please turn to Daniel chapter 1. We'll apply the principle in the context of Daniel arriving in Babylon. And we'll see how Daniel's actions then can mirror the actions of hospital liaison committees worldwide. So Daniel chapter 1, let's see the principle again. So in verse 8, notice Daniel's determination to be obedient to Jehovah. Daniel 1 verse 8, we read, but Daniel resolved in his heart that he would not defile himself with the king's delicacies. Why did he not want to eat the king's delicacies? Probably some of the meat probably was not properly bled. So Daniel wanted to obey God's law on blood. Same with us. We are determined to obey Jehovah's law on blood.
All right, Black Betty, let me just stop you right there, bub. If the Bible was so clear on the directive to avoid blood even in a medical situation, then how is it that it's kind of like the Jehovah's Witnesses that cook this up and everyone else points and laughs at them? I mean, sure, there is a lot of interpretation that goes on in the Bible, and that's just what religions do. But there are some things, whether you love it or you hate it, that the Bible is pretty clear about, like homosexuality. Sure, you can do a little bit of like mental finagling and try and weasel your way out of it, but at the end of the day, the Bible's pretty clear about it. And I just feel that if this is such an important thing where people are literally going to roll the dice on their own life, that this should be something that is very clear, not only something the Jehovah's Witnesses cooked up out of seemingly nowhere, trying to be quirky and unique, and have also changed, and it's had versions and different definitions about what's actually included in it. If he's saying that Daniel wanted to obey God's clear direction, okay, don't eat blood. And if a Jehovah's Witness today wants to obey God's clear direction, then they wouldn't eat blood. I don't understand how you can take this logical leap and all of a sudden apply it to the entire medical field. So before you just say stuff, Betty, you need to try and explain it a little bit.
But in order for Daniel to be resolved, to be obedient, he realized he would need assistance. So what did he do? Verse goes on to say, so he asked the principal court official for permission not to defile himself in this way. And same is true today. In order to obey God's law and blood, we need assistance from doctors who are able, who are willing to respect or stand on blood. Now, the verse says, Daniel asked the court official. Do you think he asked only once? Interestingly, the reference Bible says that Daniel kept asking. And the same is true today. Because of the tireless effort of the HLCs to build and maintain relationship with doctors, the arrangement has proved to be successful. And that was also true in the case of Daniel. Notice in verse 9 what we read. Verse 9 goes on to say, and the true God caused the principal court official to show Daniel favor, according to footnote, kindness and mercy. Daniel was successful. And sure enough, because of the hard work of HLCs around the world for many years, we now have upwards of over 100,000 doctors worldwide who are willing to treat Jehovah's Witnesses in respect to their stand on blood.
Betty, you could solve the confusion about this super simply. if you want to go and say being obedient is always successful, therefore obeying the governing body's directive to abstain from blood, you will always be successful. This would be a super easy point to prove. Hey, we've already established that there's these HLCs that are running around all over the world talking to doctors. I got 100,000 of them that are all willing to work with Jehovah's Witnesses. Clearly, they have a lot of data. You catching what I'm saying here? So if you want to say that it will always be successful, demonstrate it. You have the data. I know you do. Get up there and say it with your whole damn chest, Betty. Not one Jehovah's Witness has died from their refusal of a blood transfusion or any of its byproduct or of the four major components. Get up there and say that. That would be proof that it is always successful. And I wouldn't have anything to say. I'd be like, well, clearly it is. I mean, I don't agree with it. It seems a little crazy, but clearly it is always successful. But he doesn't say that because he can't say that because he knows thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses have died for absolutely no reason. There are Jehovah's Witnesses that died as a direct result of them not receiving an organ transplant. For those of you that don't know, old Unc Wally is going to come out of the old library here, all dusty and bearded. I already got salt and pepper in my beer. The Jehovah's Witnesses have this brief little period in history where they decided that having an organ transplant would be the same as cannibalism. And because of that, they said, nope, no one can get an organ transplant. You need a liver, you need a heart, you need a kidney. Nope, sorry, pal, you can't do it. Jehovah's Witnesses, documented examples of Jehovah's Witnesses died as a direct result of that command. And what did they do after a couple of years of this? After a bunch of other people were writing in like, are you really sure this is cannibalism? This seems kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. Like, this is a little bit culty. I'm just saying. It's a little culty. They changed the policy. People died for nothing. This idiot is saying that you will always be successful if you're obedient when there are documented examples of people losing their life for something the governing body ended up changing anyway. What an absolute buffoon.
Now notice verse 10, there is a change though. In verse 10 says, but the principal court officials say to Daniel, I'm afraid of my lord the king. So change of mind, change of his position. And that happens to us today. Sometimes doctors may be hesitant to treat a witness patient. What could be the cause? Well, it could be lack of experience, lack of equipment, or sometimes they just want to stick to protocols established by administration.
He's making this sound like it's some administrative problem. Well, they just don't want to. They just want to stick with their old way of doing things. I don't know why. Brother, are you seriously going to not factor in that people can get sick anywhere in this big old planet, and not every hospital might be equipped to deal with your dumbass? You might get sick somewhere where they just don't have the equipment to do whatever procedure that we could do this bloodlessly if we lived in Houston. Well, you don't live in Houston. Sorry. You're in Namibia. So what are you going to do about it now? Are you just going to say, tough luck? Are you saying the Jehovah's Witnesses actively have a policy that disproportionately affects people in less developed countries? The same people that they rely on to boost their numbers? Are you saying that the Jehovah's Witnesses go out to less developed countries to preach a message that's better received where people don't have access to the internet? And those same people will get roped into this thing not knowing. It's so infuriating that he can say this as if it's an administrative problem. Well, some doctors, they just don't want to. Wake up. Don't you realize the world's a big place? And not every hospital has the same equipment all around it? Like, what universe are we living in This must just be total, absolute Bethel brain. I really think that if you are in Bethel for a sufficient amount of time, you lose all grip on reality. You are not able to like say something publicly that has even a modicum of sensibility to it, because you have just lived in this bubble for way too long, and you get up there and you start saying some wackadoo nonsense like this. Holy, this guy's got me bothered. I'm feeling zesty today.
Similarly, today, the HLC members did not limit themselves to just a few cooperative doctors. They keep knocking on doors. They keep searching for doctors who are willing to treat us in respect to Jehovah's law. And what was the result? In verse 12, so Daniel, verse 12, notice what he tells the guardian. He says, please test your servants for 10 days. So Daniel is making a presentation to this guardian, showing, hey, there's a different approach. Can we try something different? Same with the HLCs. Can we try something different than blood, a different modality, a different approach? And what was the result? Verse 13. So the guardian, he agreed to their proposal and tested them for 10 days. Similarly, today, HLC members are making presentations. In fact, in recent years, the organization has provided a new PowerPoint presentation to the HLCs to make presentation to doctors. And we'll just show you the first 3 slides of this presentation. So slide number 1 is really a call to doctors. We want a collaborative approach. We want to avoid confrontation. We want to foster cooperation. In slide number 2, at times, the position of witnesses and that of doctors can seem to be on different sides. But the purpose of the presentation, the purpose of the arrangement is to bridge the gap. Next slide, please. To bridge the gap between doctors and witness patient. And we're happy to say this has really been very useful to the HLCs. Thank you for the slides. And in the U.S. branch territory alone, in the past year, over 3,600 presentations have been made to doctors, showing them a different approach that they can be used to treat witness patients.
Well, boy, fucking howdy. I was wrong before. I don't know all of that crap that I said before, but after seeing that presentation, I'm sorry, I'll eat crow, there's egg on my face. Now you had me convinced. That brilliant presentation really demonstrated to me the logic and reason of old Betty here. So, yep, I guess I was wrong in the end. Yeah, so maybe I should just not even release this whole video. What is this clown doing? Like, actually, what is happening? And the craziest thing is that they're using Jehovah's Witnesses as lab rats. Right? They're test subjects. Hey, we're going to refuse medical treatment and force doctors to go and hit the books to figure out how they can keep these people alive, despite them really not wanting to be alive. How are we going to accomplish that? And by just the sheer hard work and gritting their teeth and figuring it out through just the power of the human spirit and trying to drive innovation. They have in a lot of places. They figured out how to keep, in a lot of cases, Jehovah's Witnesses alive, despite the bad advice that they get from the governing body. And yet, through this thing, he's not giving the actual people doing the hard work the credit. Instead, he wants you to give more praise and more prayers, more high fives and butt slaps to the pseudo policemen, the HLC members that are policing Jehovah's Witnesses and reminding them of the stupid advice that the governing body give. Like, listen to the end of this.
So we saw the principle in the case of Daniel. He was obedient, and Jehovah blessed his obedience. Same is true today. Jehovah has blessed our obedience to abstain from blood. By means of the HLC arrangement, their effortless, tireless work has yielded good results, having doctors who are willing to care for our needs. Now, question for you and for me, how can we support this beautiful arrangement, this loving arrangement, this powerful arrangement Jehovah has put in place? 2 things we can do. Number one, we want to follow the direction that the governing body provided to us just over 2 years ago. You remember the announcement that was made in January 2023, where we were encouraged to contact the HLC as early as possible when we face a medical situation, even if we don't think blood will be an issue, because earlier is better. And we're happy to see that worldwide the friends are following this direction, and the result is that the number of emergencies have come down, and that is so heartwarming. We are saving lives. We're saving lives.
Again, I must be the crazy one here. They are saving lives. The blood doctrine saves lives. I have no better way to end this video than that, so we're just going to wrap it up there. I'll catch you guys in the next one.